Jitsu, when I hit you, then I split you. Jitsu, when I hit you, then I split you.
Oh, the fools are back. We're back. And we have a little special guest, one of my very good buddies. I like to call him my Canadian birthday twin because we have the same birthday. One of my mentors, one of the best human beings I know, Professor Matt Hammer Hache from Renzo Gracie Ottawa. And he is the head instructor over there, owner, and he also runs a lot of affiliate schools in that local area. So first of all, Matt, how are you, my friend?
I am stellar. Excited to be here, and grateful that you guys invited me to be on the show for tonight.
Oh, hell yeah. And also me and Drew have had Eric and Justin on Primrose, and Eric Nardon. Did I say that correctly? How's my French?
That's right. Nardon.
Yeah. So they were doing I think, what were they doing? The PAMs when we had them on?
Yeah, it was for
a
Pam.
couple events coming up.
And I think it was also for the Nationals as well.
Yep. So we had them on a couple episodes ago, and one of our earlier episodes, we had one of your female pro fighters on, Jo.
That's right.
Yeah, Jo's been killing it too.
She's came off a really tough fight not that long ago out in Vancouver. Her second pro fight, and it ended up going to decision. Is a 3-round war, but she looked phenomenal. She's grown a lot in her MMA skill set. So very excited to see her fight again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super happy. So, but I know we were having you on because we had Christian Simmerling on. He's the owner of Rocky Mountain BJJ out in Calgary. Mm-hmm. He's a madman. So yeah, we wanted to rep out our fellow Canadian brothers. So that's why we figured we'd like to be well-rounded in the jiu-jitsu community. So, but what's it called? A couple things first. I mean, where you are in Ottawa, you guys are just opening back up, right? You were open for a little bit. They shut you back down. And now, I think this week you're opening back up full classes, right?
Yeah, actually, as of this Friday, we're full go. Almost all restrictions are being lifted. Martial arts is good to go. And I have countless members who've been messaging me and basically can't wait to get back in.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been quite some time.
Yeah,
I would say it's been quite some time is an understatement.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, well, were you still doing your online classes and stuff and trying to push that as best as you could for what it is after, I mean, almost a year of talking to people like this?
Yeah, we got it pretty far. We thankfully I have a lot of dedicated members who stayed online with us and did what they could. But I mean, the reality is people are done with it. They want to get back to real life and get back to training, and we're excited to support it and get the show on the road.
Yeah, no, I mean, Drew, I don't think you've ever been up there, but I've been up there. Hammer's got a hell of a school. He's got 2 floors, 3 training mats, whole thing. I mean, he's got, I know sometimes at a peak, he's had 500-600 students in the academy.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's pretty unfortunate about this whole situation, to see such a busy school, just get put to a stop, to a halt. But it's all good. We're going to be back on track. And I'm actually excited. In a few days, I'm actually going to be going down to Florida to take 2 of our youth to compete at the Orlando Open. And Ethan Major is going to be competing at an awesome event for youth. It's called Jits Kings. And it's going to be, I think, his second or if not third time to be on the event.
Nice. He won his first event, right?
That's right.
He is. He's a little stud. I got to train with him while I was up there. That family, Drew, they literally live in Matt's gym. Literally, their mother works for them. The kids are there. There's 25 of them. It's like a family like mine where there's thousands of kids. You're there's another one.
Perfect, man.
No, it's awesome.
Mom's at work and she's right there. You just go train all the time, man. Who wouldn't want that when you think about it?
You know what I thought was a pretty unique environment when I went up to Canada? I mean, before all this nonsense, right? Was they have a lot of homeschooling up there, right? And right. Matt, I went up there because Matt is one of my mentors, and like business mentors. We worked a lot together. He helped me get my school back up and running when we moved and everything else. We had a lot of stuff we worked on together. And the one thing I thought was amazing, because I went up there for like a weekend or something, and I taught a couple classes, helped, shadowed him, and we did some business stuff. But I thought it was crazy. Like his homeschooling classes, he had like 60, 70 kids in his homeschooling class, like at 11 o'clock in the middle of the day, just kids that do homeschooling.
Yeah, there's a unique community here in Ottawa with the homeschooling community, and it's huge. And we had a lot of great success with that program. And I plan to get that ball rolling again for this September. I homeschool my children, and what's kind of neat about that experience is that I get to share jiu-jitsu with them as part of their schooling. So it's quite a special thing to be able to share martial arts with my own children.
Oh man, can you imagine like up here, like throwing on a gi for like recess or something?
How awesome!
Like no dodgeball, no nothing, just throwing the gi on. Oh,
yeah, amazing. It's like, suit up, kids. We're about to choke each other. Let's go. But I know, like, I'm not sure if Hammer, but like I think Dubai, didn't they like put that, or I know Renzo had a relationship with one of the princes over there, and they put it in the curriculum. So I think it's in like their school curriculum that they have to learn jiu-jitsu.
That's absolutely right. They went on a big blitz to hire as many black belts as they can to get them in the schools.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the expectations for kids in school, is to train jiu-jitsu. I think there's a lot of benefits for children doing jiu-jitsu, and it gives them a lot of unique skills on how to deal with other people in regards to learning how to communicate, about demonstrating actual genuine kindness and respect. In a lot of ways, respect gets earned on the mats. It's a phenomenal tool to help children learn how to create boundaries for themselves, so that if anyone is, encroaching on their space, they can hold a hard line. Or if they want to tell someone, hey, stop, or they don't like what's going on, I think jiu-jitsu gives children a unique form of communication. Gives them the confidence they need to, protect themselves, and again, build healthy boundaries so that they're not being taken advantage of or hurt by others.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, that's a huge part of what we do as instructors, and trying to, deal to the, younger community, because they are the most vulnerable in a lot of ways, mentally, physically, everything else. And I mean, there's a lot of crazy people out there nowadays that you have to, I want my children to be prepared for. I know you want your children to be prepared for, right? So that's why we train them in the art of breaking limbs.
100%.
Are both your boys training now?
Yeah, I mean, well, my youngest is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I know. I got one too.
But my oldest, James, he's soon going to be 8, and he's really hitting that age where I find the stuff that we've been practicing for the last couple of years, it's all starting to kind of click.
Yeah.
It started to make a lot of sense. He can put it together. And all I've been doing is just teaching him games. We've just been playing games for the last 4 or 5 years. And now as he's getting close to 8, his ability to retain the details has been phenomenal. So, but I mean, I have no expectations. Like at this moment from both my boys, all I care about is kind of stoking the fire so that there's an interest for martial arts. Like a lot of times we'll kind of horse around in the house, and I'll say, oh, you know what, we got to stop. And both my boys are like, oh, no, we want to wrestle. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if we can wrestle right now. Like, now's not the best time. And they're like, oh, please. And I want to keep that interest always. So I'm not one of those parents that is really pushing it hard on them at this moment, but we're always goofing around. And it's very much part of our form of communication. It's a way of how we communicate, where we're always grabbing each other, always wrestling, pushing around, climbing on top of each other. But I never really talk about that. I'm teaching them jiu-jitsu. I never point it out. It's just kind of, it's how we play. It's how we express ourselves, I would say, and then sometimes I got to cut it short, and then there's an interest to keep doing it, and it's perfect. As they get older, I really hope like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, then we can take it more serious. But I mean, at this point in time, it's just about having fun.
Yeah.
Would
Well,
you say it's kind of like the secret, like in like things are, because like my oldest is like 2.5 now, but it's not so much having expectations. You're just keeping it fun, and you're not really emphasizing that you're really showing them a martial art. It's like we're just kind of playing around and we're just working on movement and all that, and you know.
And that's exactly it. It's more about, I think as a parent, you want your child to see you having fun, and it's expressing yourself. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, growing up in the 80s, I mean, my dad was just like mad. He was just mad like all the time. And I know why. Is like his work stressed him out. You know, it was a very difficult spot he was in. And I mean, I didn't really get that kind of a unique relationship with my father growing up as a kid. Now that we're older, I can joke around with him and wrestle with my dad now, as old as he is. But when I was young, he was just, you know, really rough around the edges, to say the least. And wrestling with my dad was just not something I did. But now with my children, I wrestle with them and we play and we goof, but they see that I'm having fun. And again, it's not about pointing out that we're doing jujitsu. It's just, hey, we're having fun wrestling, and there's still boundaries even when we are wrestling, so that there's still like a level of expectations about like what's okay, what's not okay.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, my kids, they're crazy people. But that's the same thing too, is like I've literally been like, just since they were 2-3 months old, put them in my guard, baby mount, like moving them around. We're fun. And like, it's funny how you say that's like part of your communication and language, because like in my house, if nobody's coming off the table with a like flying elbow, it's not a regular day. It really isn't. And it's funny because like I want them to do these things, but I also said like, and I've said it, you know, because, you know, one of my children's really into it. My other one's kind of into it, and the baby's just not there yet. And I always say, like, my oldest, like, he is like ghost face killer when he trains. Like, yes, sir, boom, blah, 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 blah. Gunner, my middle one, he's just like, catching flies, doing his thing, right? And like sometimes I'm like, you don't have to train. Like, if you don't want to train, like, this is what daddy likes, and it's okay. Like, you don't have to train, like, but like, this is important to daddy, and daddy takes it serious. So when I train, I'm serious. You don't have to do everything daddy likes. But then he took a couple months off, and then he's like, Dad, I really want to train again. Dad, and I want them to want to be there. Where like my oldest is like bag in hand, like, are we leaving yet? And I'm like, dude, we got 3 hours. He's like, all right, tell me when it's 2. Tell me when it's 1. Like, you know, like he's ready to rock, and he's at wrestling camp this week. Like, he loves it. He just wants to do it, you know? So, I mean, I think that's a big thing though, is keeping it playful.
100%.
I think that's a huge thing, because like you've seen it. I mean, especially where I am in my community, like wrestling's big in my area, and you see some of these wrestling dads, and you're just like, oh my God, like stop. Like, you're yelling at your kid to get up with a kid smashing them out, and it's like, you haven't seen your dick in 10 years, bro. Come on, bro.
I mean,
it's true though.
The best thing a parent can do is do the martial art with your child. You know, if the child sees you doing it first, I mean, it's really hard to argue why would they not want to do it too. You know, I think what's really important is about no expectations. It's just about having fun, enjoying the process. And as your children get to do it with you, and they see you are having so much fun, it becomes, you know, addictive. They want to have just as much fun as you're having.
I don't know if you saw the Mr. Jiu-Jitsu post I posted the other day. You know who Mr. Jiu-Jitsu is, that guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so he put that post up, and I reshared it. I don't know if you saw it, but he was like talking about like, oh, you know, parents coming to him with their kids wanting to quit, and they're like, oh, it's a fight to get them here. And I mean, me and you being in the industry, we hear it all the time, right? Like, oh, he just doesn't want to go, or, you know, she just doesn't want to go, etc. And he had, I don't know if you're in the same school of thought about this for like kids training with you. But he's like, you know, yeah, your kid tells you he doesn't want to brush your teeth. You make him brush his teeth, because, you know, in 20 years, he's going to thank you for all the dental work and having straight teeth. You know, your kid doesn't want to go to school. And if he didn't want to go to school that day, and you just didn't let him go to school, he'd be a dumbass, and you make him go to school so he could become educated, you know, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he's like going back and forth. And he was like, basically like, martial arts is one of those things where it's like, you should make your children do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
I'm like in the middle of it. I mean, I totally understand his point. And I
Yeah.
agree, like to a certain extent, like your children should be able to defend themselves and they should have that work ethic. But like, you know, even with my own children, I'm just like, I'm not going to push like that. Because I've
Yeah.
seen dads and most of my friends that their dads pushed them all became drug addicts and in jail. It's just how it went. It really did.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is this, is that if you feel the need that you really need to push your children to do something, I think you really need to question what's the outcome you're looking for. You know, like this perfect example, I had this one youth that was in our after school program, and he was wild.
Mhm.
And the parents very much wanted their child in our program in hopes that we could give guidance, discipline, direction, all the things that you get out of martial arts.
That starts at home too, though.
Well, this was the thing, though, is that no matter what we did, we could never get this child on track.
Mhm.
I
I get it. I understand.
The child was on some sort of spectrum of ADHD, and just I thought martial arts was going to be a good vehicle for him. But for whatever reason, Dad let me know that he actually took him fishing, and for whatever reason, fishing just
Focused
Send
them
them.
in.
zend him right out. It helped him find exactly what he's looking for. So I get it. You know, keeping your kids in martial arts is very much like that idea of staying in school, brushing your teeth. You know, I think physical fitness is critical. Learning how to defend yourself is critical. However, there are more than one way. There's more than one way. There's more than one method. But there's no sense in forcing a child to do something that they don't want to do, and you bring out their worst character. I think it's far more advantageous for everybody to find kind of like what speaks to children. I try very hard to build an environment that encourages a unique approach for all children, so that we kind of let the kids be themselves, just with boundaries. That's all. You know, we have kids in our class that are very serious and focused. We have other children that like to have fun and they're silly. We have other children that are very quiet. We have other children that are super talkative. They all fit in the spectrum. Like, it's all good. As long as they're doing martial arts and getting better, I'm not that worried. But there's always a few children that just martial arts is not their thing. Probably music, writing, outdoors activities.
There's so many,
other
so many things. Yep.
Yeah. So why force your child to do something that you are unwilling to do, first of all, yourself,
100%.
and then you're twisting your child's arm to do it? Like,
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's like one thing I always say too, is like, I'm not asking you to do anything I've never done myself.
that's it.
I'm a big proponent of that, like especially in training. Like sometimes, you know, like you're really getting on your guys, right? Like if they're getting ready for a competition or something, it's not getting on them, but you're coaching them. You're being a, you know, you're being a hard ass to a certain level, because you know you have to do that to prepare them
Yes.
for the worst in battle, right?
Absolutely.
But like I tell all my guys too, and I'm like, you know, whatever amount of push-ups, whatever amount of this, whatever amount of that I ask you to do, I wouldn't ask you anything that I'm not willing to do myself or have done myself.
100%.
You know,
100%.
I'm just old. I'm just an old man now, and you guys are young bucks, so I can crack the whip.
But I think that's what it comes down to. If you're going to ask your own children to do something, you got to be willing to do it first. If you're going to ask your students to do something, 100%. You've either done it yourself already, or you're doing it right beside them and with them at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I still train with my students. There's a lot of schools that don't. Like, I still train with my students every day.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's, you know,
Eric
I
still
think
chokes me out every Saturday.
stop it.
Yep.
Stop it.
Yep.
No, I don't. He's lying. He's way
That's
stronger
like
than
boys
me
for you.
and more handsome.
Not true.
It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's true.
Yeah.
About the stronger thing.
Like, whatever. You need to shave your mustache. Shut it.
Oh man, I'm bringing back the quarantine, bro. That's it.
Oh, Jesus. Yo, take that off for a second. Hammer.
See,
Guy from Friday. The dad.
dickhead.
It's perfect, though. It really is. Didn't your mom even say that to you?
My mom said that once, and I was like, "Come on, man!" Like,
you know, the dad on Friday that's like taking the shit and he's like using the spray can all over.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
No, but we were talking about hammering with the kids in training, right? But I
Yeah.
also want to put out there that, like, I've been teaching martial arts for 20 plus years. I've had my own school for 15 plus years. I think it's 16 years this year, right? 15 years. 15 years I've been doing it, but I've been also training martial arts for 30 plus years, right? And the craziest thing I really did see, and that's why I have like utmost respect for Matt, is like especially with the kids. Like, I mean, his adults, he does his program, he does his thing, but with the kids, like he has this gift. Like he's walked into my school and the kids just ultimately gave him respect. He knew how to handle them, knew how to deal with them. And like it's totally different world because like we're Jersey. And then like where he was, like I even said to him, I'm like, I don't know if some of this shit's gonna fly in New Jersey because we're just like different types. Like Canada's a little nicer with things. Like Jersey, if I'm not like MFing a little kid sometimes, they're like, why aren't you teaching my kid right? I'm like, I'm sorry, you know. But like he does have like, I think it's a very unique quality, and I don't know if you did. I know I'm sure you learned from somebody else certain techniques and everything, but I know you probably developed a lot on your own as well, as where like he can walk into any room with a bunch of kids and within, it can be anywhere from 5 kids to 100 kids and have them doing what he needs them to do in a timely manner, organized as best as you can herd cats, but like I've just, everybody, it was just like one of those things. I was just like, and I've been teaching kids forever and I'm pretty good with kids. And like, I was just like, all right. So I use some techniques that Hammer does. So I definitely stole some things from him, but
it's a unique skill set, man.
I borrowed. I didn't steal. We're friends. I borrowed.
I would say though, I've been very lucky to have a lot of unique influences from a lot of different instructors over time. But I think one of the greatest, I don't know, what's the best way to put it, experiences I have is I come from a very big family. My mom has 5 sisters and 6 brothers.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
And all of them have children. So all my aunts and uncles, I was always used to being around a big family. So any
tons
kind
of cousins. Yeah.
That's it. I very much grew up in a village, always having a lot of people around me, always getting a lot of direction.
Well, so Hache is like Smith in America, right?
Not quite. But the reason why I say that is because I was always used to being around a lot of people, and that was always very normal for me. So being at the gym, at the dojo, I very much always wanted to give that kind of experience to other people. I've been very lucky to grow up in a big family. I only have 2 brothers, but I was always either at an aunt or uncle's house, and we always had lots of cousins always in the house. That's how I grew up. That was very normal. But I know for a lot of people I was going to school with as a kid, they grew up in a small family or they were their only child. So they just never knew what it was like to have a lot of people around them.
Community.
For me, for me, that was always very normal. So being in the gym, I feel like I have a good sense of how to create that environment with all these children. And I try to give everyone a feeling of like they belong so that they feel like they matter. And once that's established, it's very easy to give them any kind of direction. They feel recognized, they feel valued. And then I say, okay, you got to jump this high. You got to run this fast. Everyone's like, yes, sir, no problem.
That's a very unique way to look at that, right, Drew?
Yeah, I think that's, Garrett and I always emphasize that when we talk about like jujitsu, especially the idea of community. That's why it was so hard, when essentially everything just shut down. Because now everyone who had that sense or felt like they were part of something bigger, that was just taken away instantly. And then you see it with the community, especially like when you have like those, like guy who's doing like his first trial class or whatnot, or that guy who's, whether it's a kid or it's like the guy who's, in his 50s and he's trying to get into it. It's like you see someone who's like really like trying to get into it, and you almost you just want to bring them under your wing, and you keep doing that for everyone that you see. It's not just one person, but when you see like that collective group of people, especially like you had that when you were coming up, you had those people who were kind of like showing you the ropes, and like you saw how that really helped, and you really enjoyed that. So now you just want to share that with other folks, and that just makes like the family grow that much bigger.
Yeah, definitely. The good people in jiu-jitsu do that, because there's always douches in every scenario. But the people that are like we said, it's a huge sense of community. And when you have that sense of community, and like you said too, it was a tough part, because even like Hammer said, he's like, those people that came from a single family or maybe a screwed up family that like the school was their shining light. Their school was their safe zone where they knew like they would show up early for class just to get out of the house, and nobody was going to be like, hey, why are you here? Like, oh, grab a mop, help out, or do something. Like, I have kids like that. You put to work. You're just like, oh, go vacuum, go do this, because they just want to be around you, and they just want to be in that environment, and they want to be around a positive role model, whether it's a male or a female role model, because some people are lacking mothers. And Hammer has a lot of women that teach for him too, which I think is very unique, which is pretty awesome too. And like that also hits a different niche. You know what I'm saying? Like he's done a very, I think, you know, in my humble opinion, is like he's done a very well job of putting certain people in certain spots. I think that's one of his gifts. Like, and he's tried to, you know, pass on to me is like, find the right person for the right niche. Not everybody fits the same mold, and you might have to go through 35 people to get that person that fits that mold. But once you have it, then that's the person you need for that spot.
Yeah. One of the things that I've really enjoyed in my career is building the people up around me. You know, I've seen it with a lot of other businesses and other types of models of how to operate their school. I see people always trying to find the right person and bring them into their facility. You know, they're looking for the right person, where I'm trying to build up the person right beside me. So I've seen it from within our kids programming and our adult programming. I'm always trying to see who is next who wants to walk the path. You know, a lot of the schools within the Ottawa area, many of the people who run those schools and the instructors started at my school, at Ottawa Academy of Martial Arts. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we were a source of, you know, great energy, great force, where a lot of great people came out of our school and have gone on to do great things, you know, and I only have plans of doing more of that. You know, it's like me talking about bringing up these two youth to Florida to compete. Ethan and Aiden, you know, they're the future, and I have a lot of young guys and girls who are coming up right behind them all the time. You know, it's a lot of fun to build strong people around you. You know, talking about community, you know, I think a lot of people have been missing these types of opportunities of training at a gym or like a martial arts school, and I think people are in desperate need of like reconnecting with their fellow neighbor.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's too, like when you talk about like bringing up people, when I think one of my favorite things about jiu-jitsu now, I've almost in a way become like addicted to it, is when you see someone who's coming up and starting out, and they're, you know, they're that person who just asks like a ton of questions and they're always training. I think once they start, you see them to really start to succeed, whether it be in like, you know, just regular training or competition or just in life in general. You're like, oh my God, like you're seeing how good this person's doing, and then now you just want to see like, all right, who else can I help?
Like
and
a
that
baby.
person starts to come up, and they level up, and they come up, and they want to help people. And now it's just like this big network that you created. And like, and then Hammer, I know you've seen it with the folks you've helped now running their own schools. It's just these people just keep succeeding, just keep kind of you know, it's almost like compound interest. He's compounding, people get better and bring up more people, and just, you know.
Absolutely, very special.
Yeah, it's all butterflies and rainbows, Hammer. It really is. It's all butterflies and rainbows and shiny shit, and everybody does the right thing by you, no matter how great of a heart you have, right? Yep, I know. Air high five, bam. No, it is, but like, you know, I mean, I think that's part of a growth as school owner, I would say, and instructor is, and I think it took me a long time to be mature enough to be able to deal with this, is like you put a lot of your heart, soul, time away from your family, especially if you have fighters, competitors, everything else, that like then all of a sudden it's like nothing of whatever fault, you have a falling out, whatever it is, and then they go and do something to you. And I know us as school owners have had that happen to us, but it took me till I was older where it's just like, we're not on the same path.
That's it.
We're not. Does it still sting when it's certain people that are close in your family? We're human. It hurts, especially when you think you're really that close and you have people sitting at your dinner table with your kids and your family eating, and you're welcome in your home, et cetera, et cetera. But now it's just like different path, man. It's cool. Yeah. Wish you luck. Deuces.
That's it.
You have to, because there's people there that are worth your time.
That's right.
And there's people there that deserve your time a lot of times more than those you ever read that book, Energy Vampires? Have you ever read that, Drew? I read something you didn't read. Cornell turned on. I don't read it. You know me. I listen to audiobooks or I listen to you guys tell me stuff, and then I just remember it. I got one of those memories. It's like it's like a recorder. That's it. I'm reading. I'm like, the car is red. Awesome. Cool. But you can audiobook me and I'll like give a speech like Barack Obama. So listen,
yeah, I'm always asking Garrett. I'm like, oh, did you see that new instructional? And you're like, why would I get the instructional when you watch it and then you just show it to me? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
It's true. I ain't got time for that shit.
No.
Listen, it's all about transfer of information and knowledge, right? You transfer me some, I give you some back. It's just how it is. I think that's how the world works, right? Well, it should work most of the time.
Yeah, hopefully,
So what do you think? What is your plan going forward with the academy? Like, what you're like, all right, we're getting back at it, kids. We're going full tilt, full throttle. We're gonna rock and roll. Like, you have like I've been at Matt's school, and like he's literally going from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, like class. They have a little break here and there, but I mean, there's always some sort of he's got some lady teaching French upstairs. He's hanging out. He is one of those things where like he uses the most of his time, and I think he's very good at finding the right, like you said, finding the right people. It's not always looking for the right people to put in that niche, but building people up. But you're also good at communicating and networking to get the right people to come into your space.
That's it. Yeah. Right now, actually, what we're rocking and rolling with is our summer camps. Summer camp program. Just
he's got fucking buses, Drew. Buses that go and pick kids up. Buses.
Well, that's for after school program. We do.
It's still buses.
But for the summer camp, we're averaging just over about 60 children a week. So in each room, have the 3 training areas. We have about 20 children per room. And my biggest, achievement, I would say, as of late for the summer camp, is I have a summer camp staff team of 10 in the daytime, and then in the afternoon, a whole nother 10 people. And what's amazing about that is all of these summer camp staff are people who have been with us for years. They've grown up in our kids programming, or they've been training in the adults programming, and now they're turning around and giving back. So it's been a fun experience, and I believe a lot of these kids from our summer camp program will be able to get to transition into our night program, our regular kids programming, or even our after school program when it starts up back in September.
Which is wild too, because Drew, I'm not really sure. Like, these aren't just his, like, he has his student base too. This is just like programs where like it's only kids that come for after school. They don't take regular, they take the after school program. And then like even the kids for summer camp, it's not just like, oh, 60 of my students are just going to stay for summer camp and pay me a little. It's 60 new kids coming in for summer camp. It's insane. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah, and so many parents have just been so excited that we even have camps available. On some of our weeks, we have a waiting list. So it obviously shows that parents are dying for something. Sadly, I think a lot of summer camps closed down for the summer, just because they got burned. They didn't know if they were going to be able to operate this summer or not. So they had to make a decision on if they were going to basically close their doors. So, I mean, it's working out well for us. And I think we're going to have we're going to wrap up 2021 pretty huge.
Yeah. You're seeing a lot of parents like afraid of like camp too, or a little skeptical just with everything that's kind of happened. So that's kind of unfortunate as well.
Don't even get me started. Don't you start me up. Do not wind me up, Drew.
Well, I'm on the boat. Like when's the adult summer camp gonna, like, when's the school bus gonna come pick me up, take me to camp so I can do jujitsu all day and like do like arts and crafts and stuff? Like where's that gonna happen? Because there's like adults dropping their kids off. Corner. Yeah, there's like adults like dropping their kids off. Like, oh man, I need to get in on that because sitting at a desk all day is killing me.
Do you think we should? I don't know how effective an adult summer camp would be, but I'm down for that idea.
You might be surprised, man.
We'll have to make up a camp to go out to Mexico for the week.
Oh, that's a good camp. That's a good idea. That's the adult camps. Those destination, like it's like a destination wedding. You're like, adults this way, go.
Yep.
Do How has it been up by you? Because Ottawa is the capital of Canada, and it's a big major city. I mean, how are the other businesses you feel faring there?
Uh,
Hit miss.
yeah, hit miss. Like I think early on we saw a couple of different types of businesses and schools close, but I even seen some new businesses open up.
Open up, right?
Yeah, during all this. So I don't know. I really think things are going to take off in a real positive way, and I think we're going to see a lot of massive growth. I think a lot of people just kind of went into hibernation and did everything they could to just kind of survive and get through this nonsense. But I think we're going to see a massive explosion. Like people are going to be starting new businesses, opening up. I think it's going to go really well for for the foreseeable future. Honestly, I'm quite confident. I'm quite positive.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, man. Especially where you're president. But anyway, I got to zig one in there. That's just how I do it. So
Came in right with the deep cut too.
yeah. So when is Ethan and them competing? 2 weeks?
Just in
Or
a
a
couple
week?
days. We're gonna fly out to Florida on Tuesday, and then so not this weekend, next weekend they'll be competing, I believe, Orlando Open, and then shortly after, like I said, the Jits King. And then I'm sending a group of guys down to Florida for like 6 months. Justin's going to go down with a group, and they're going to be trying to compete at anything and everything nonstop.
Like the Argentinians?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. A
Mhm.
lot of our students and staff have just been so frustrated without this ability to compete. So a lot of people got focused on, making this trek down to the US to get after it. But I'm hoping that maybe by October, November, we'll be able to start putting on events here in Canada.
So what is pretty crazy too, because Drew, I don't know if you know, but like Hammer and Pat, Pat Cooligan, I don't know if you know him, Drew.
Yeah, we interviewed on the podcast.
Oh
right?
yes, he was on the podcast. Yes, he was. I
remember
forgot.
this
We had
guy.
Pat on a
We
while
talked to
ago.
that guy,
we
man.
talked to
Come
him
on.
about immigrating to the US. But they've set up this crazy shit. Like they have the ability to like send their guys to different schools and do training camps and have lodging and have everything else, which I thought was a huge, before everything got weird, I was planning on sending guys up by Hammer. So this way, they can train, they can sleep there and put them to work a little bit too, but like
Yep.
this way it was like how they, they can train full time.
Yep.
And then have the opportunities to go places for minimal cost and be able to, have that opportunity. So, I mean, setting up that network, I mean, it's pretty cool what they've done up there and how they have the capability. Talk a little bit about how Pat has set up how he gets what is it called? Agora,
that's right.
Agora. Do you know what that stands for?
It's I don't recall at the moment, but I know his project is getting up people from either from Brazil or Argentina to come up, and they get to live and train and compete in Orlando. He's trying to give athletes an opportunity to get after it where they're from. The opportunities are so slim. The chance to be recognized or to have a platform, and a lot of these young men are getting a chance to build a platform in the United States. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty, dude. Yeah, he has guys that come up and they've been competing all over, man. Like you see them, they'll literally get in like a 15-passenger van and just drive from Florida to Texas, compete, drive back. Like that's their life, man. I sent Serge down to Pat's when Sergio was training with me. I sent Serge down there and he went down there for like a week or two. And then that was when COVID hit, and he ended up having to like find a flight home because he was like, I'm going to get stuck down here. A lot worse places to get stuck than Florida, though, folks. Just saying.
I was gonna say, it's
saying.
not that bad if you got stuck, but
Yeah, it's like spring break every day.
Yeah. That flip flops and tank tops every day. Oh, it's the worst day. Oh my gosh.
Nothing wrong with that.
85 every day, man.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about the warm weather. I don't have to wear socks and wash them and have like my kids lose them. They always lose them. You two tell me you get all your socks back all the time.
No, my daughter goes into my drawer, she takes them, puts them on, and then they disappear.
Mine just, I think my washing machine needs them. You guys ever see when they opened up the front of the washing machine the one time and there was just like 150 socks like sucked in under that plastic thing?
Well, the filter, every time I pull my filter out, there's like 10 or 20 like baby socks in there.
I
So
know,
I
baby
gotta
socks are the
clean it
worst.
out like every other week.
Baby socks are bad. My kids are getting a little
Yeah.
bigger feet, so they're at least getting like bigger and bigger and bigger. I know. Trials and
So, Hannah,
tribulations of dad life.
one thing I want to ask you. So, I go to like Garrett's school, like, every Saturday. I kind of train with those guys and, I watch them teach. And like Garrett's cornered me for a bunch of like, my super fights and whatnot. So someone like coming up, like students sometimes at like my home academy, like ask me like questions and whatnot. I show them techniques. And I'm just like, I could have shown that better. Or sometimes I cover classes and I'm like, all right, I think I'm doing a good job, but I feel like I could do better. And like I watch Garrett, because I know Garrett gets a lot of influence from you, but like someone who's trying to become like a better, I guess, like instructor, like just coming up and like covering class or not, like what would you say are like top 3 like bullet points or something they should focus on when they want to get better, like as they're coming up in the ranks?
Step 1, teach what you know.
When you say to like 3 bullet points, like as an instructor or as an athlete?
Instructor.
Well,
I think he was man.
Yeah, as an instructor. Yeah.
So like I think for any instructor, like Garrett just said, like teaching what you know, absolutely. I think though a lot of instructors have a hard time knowing their audience. I think it's important to kind of get a sense of what it is your student is trying to accomplish. I'm a huge believer in teaching the basics and learning the basics. I think a lot of people kind of skim through the basics and never really build a strong foundation or take the time to master the basics. I think when you master the basics of anything, either be jiu-jitsu or any kind of skill set, it's very easy to learn advanced techniques with a good foundation. But when you don't have a strong foundation, the advanced stuff just kind of
house crumbles.
That's it. It never sticks. But I think a lot of instructors graze over the basics, and they don't really ensure that their students know it. And then I think it's about trying to help people grow and improve just a little bit. I think sometimes people get over obsessed on over delivering, and they kind of give people too much too quick, and people don't even learn anything, and then once you do a bit of sparring and you give a chance for people to apply what they're learning, it becomes very obvious. Like whenever I work with an athlete or a student, one of the things I want to try to see is what their habits are. What is it that they do over and over and over again? And when I start to see their habits, I kind of I already have an idea of what they've been taught or what they have not been taught. Like I'm working with a young man right now who's a blue belt. He came up from a different country and he's living in Ottawa right now. And we're trying to help him prepare for a fight that's going to happen probably in Rochester in August. And he's got a lot of raw skill and talent. And it's like wherever he came from, his school, it's like he has some techniques are really strong and then some are very weak. So it's kind of really choppy, I would say.
Big gaps.
Yeah. So every time I want to show something new, it's difficult for it to stick because it's not a strong, clear foundation. So I find when students come to our school that came from another place, they either have a blue belt or a purple belt or even higher, I feel like I have to teach them the basics. And then once they have that basics, then I can start helping them
elevate their game.
Yeah, that I feel like it's often if you go to a gym where an instructor is doing it for a hobby or they're full of themselves, they just kind of teach the flavor of the week. Oh, I saw this video. I want to show you guys this thing. And they kind of go on tangents. And if this is happening week after week, month after month, no student is going to be really able to retain this like random information, where I think instructors need to approach passing on knowledge more systematically. So build a strong foundation and then kind of on top of that. So teach everyone step 1, make sure that's mastered, teach then step 2. And then we want to get to a place where we can be a bit more creative and and kind of like freestyle. But yeah, I think a lot of instructors try to teach too much. They try to teach like what looks cool or is fun or the flavor of the week, and they just don't stick to the basics long enough till people actually genuinely can apply the basics. You know, there's a big difference between I know what to do versus I can do it.
Executing.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and I think a lot of people know too much that they cannot execute, like in all aspects of life.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to put it too, because like I always say, just even like teach what you know. Don't try to teach, like you said, the flavor of the week where you're still uncertain, because if you're confident, like I told Drew, like Drew's got a great half guard. Teach your half guard. You know you can execute it. You execute it from white belt to black belt. You can hit it on all spectrums. You know it's tried and true from that position. Half guard's a foundation of martial art, of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Like it's a foundation position that you should know stuff from. So like that's where, if you are starting to teach, start, you know, and you usually teach more of the advanced classes too. So like if you are doing that, you can go from there. And then you got to, like Hammer said too, know your audience. One person, I always say to my guys, I expect if there's 5 moves, I expect five parts to a move. I expect the white belts to get 2, blue belts get 3, brown belts get 4, black belts should get the whole move.
Yeah.
So you could be like, all right, I'm just happy with the white belts knocking the guy over. Then you go to your blue belts, like knock the guy over and grab his lapel. Then the next one, you're like, all right, grab the lapel, weave it, put it around your leg. You know, like you got, you know, it's level of intelligence. You're not going to tell a 6-year-old the same instructions that you're going to tell a grown man or woman.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
They're
Absolutely.
babies. They're infants. Their brains are mush. Even if they're adults, they're jujitsu. They're idiots. Don't treat them like children. You know how I rolled you.
Yeah.
No, but
Yep.
it is. You do. You have to. It's not dumbing it down either. It's just speaking like, I think with any martial arts or certain things in life, like when you first start out, you got to learn your ABCs. Then you put a word together. Then you compound 2 words together. Then as you become a man, and then you're writing a symphony at the end. Like white belts are still learning their ABCs.
Yeah, and then I would say, like other schools, another I think mistake they make is they throw their guppies in the sharks with the sharks, and they just, you know, if you survive, you survive.
I was guilty of that for years.
Yeah, and then what happens is you get these guppies who get annihilated and quit, or worse, they get super tough and then they're hacks, and they don't know nothing. They're super tough, but they can't do anything. And it's very unfortunate. And then you'll have like a handful of people who are very talented, who keep improving. But in our school, a big mantra is everybody helps everybody. Everyone in my school is very obsessed with growth and improvement. So there's a unique environment of mentorship from female to male. Everyone is trying very hard, whoever they're training with, how can I help you improve today, right now? And it's very,
that's a huge takeaway I got from your academy when I would visit and come up and everything, that I've been trying to instill in my guys. And I think it's been getting there. What do you say, Drew? Like everybody in my school, even if people don't sign up at my school, sometimes they're like, these are the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely watching your guys, not just training with them, but then watching them teach, not just kids, but adults. Like everyone's kind of in that same boat where everyone's growing together, which is, it's always nice to say. And I think it's one of the reasons, you know, why I keep coming back. Cause you know how I feel about your guys. Like everyone's, like I said, it's such a chill, relaxed environment. Like, you know, when it's time to train, we train. But you know, outside of that, everyone's, like I said, it's
just fun. It's just hanging out with your boys and your girls.
Fun,
that's
dude.
all it
is. It really is, man.
But that's what I want it to be. I think to tie it all back to the beginning of the episode, community.
That's it.
Helping the
100%.
community, being a positive community. We just like to simulate murder on each other.
Yeah.
But it's
not weird to us. It's not weird to us, you know.
I was going to say that it's about giving everyone a place in the community as well. You know, we have a lot of older members that have become pillars at our school, where people go to them for guidance and advice on all sorts of things.
Life, everything, financial, everything. Yep, I know.
It's about keeping things in perspective. Like, we have a competitive environment, yes, but we don't have unrealistic expectations. You know, like our young guys, like our teenagers and our young men and women, who are working towards competing or goal or whatever they want to try to achieve, as our crowd gets older, they're not competing with them. They're there enjoying themselves, learning the art, trying to improve, and then passing down their lessons to the rest
Well,
of
I
the group.
think it's almost like you how do I say that? Carpet. Why can't I say it right? You know what I'm talking about. I can't say it either right now. Carmental. You know what I'm talking. Carpental. What do you do in your head? In your head when you make little spots?
Compartmentalize.
Thank you, Drew. You just want us two assholes to sit here and stutter over our words. You knew exactly what I was talking about. I couldn't get it out either. I'm like, but I think you've done a good job of doing that in your academy where you're like, okay, fighters are here. And I think that's a big thing about doing separation of guppies and sharks. And I think it starts at the base level. And even as your school grows and you have bigger pond or bigger ocean, you still know, like, all right, you're in the shallow end, you're in the deep end,
Yeah, absolutely. And giving people the feeling of safety where, they can train with the competitors and not have their head taken off. And when two competitors want to take each other's heads off,
there's time for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, they got the green light. It's all good. Like,
yeah, I always find it such a challenge too, because like, especially when you have like those new guys who come in and then you ask them to want to roll, and like you're trying to have like a nice like kind of flow roll with them and let them move, and like there's those folks that they're just moving too, and like you just want to get them into it, and there's that person who starts out who just wants to take your head off, and then I think
that's why I was just checking. I think I got a black guy here from Donnie headbutting me today. He's a stud.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Donnie's a beast.
Yeah, but he's one of those young guys that is a competitor. He's a college wrestler, wrestled his whole life, but like very smooth, nice jiu-jitsu. Because like I literally and he still says to me, he's like, Coach, this is when it clicked to me. He walked in, I was doing something, and he looks at and I look at him, I go, I don't need to teach you how to wrestle, boy. I'm trying to teach you how to do jiu-jitsu. And he goes, that just clicked in my head, and he went into jiu-jitsu mode. I was like, I wish everybody was that fucking easy. But it is like some guy, wrestlers, like they can't turn it off, some of them. And he knows when he can turn it on, turn it off, but he's been doing jiu-jitsu. And I said, that's why you got better at jiu-jitsu real quick. Good attitude goes a long way. I always tell my students, what two things can I work with? Good effort, good attitude. That's all I need. You guys give me that, I give you the world.
That's it.
Right. So on that note, I know it's getting late and I know Hammer's got a ton of shit to do. So, bro, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Love you. Great knowledge. I miss your face. I'm missing your face.
I'll come give you guys a big hug soon enough.
I know. I want to work on getting you down for instructor training, because we were supposed to do that before COVID, and I'm working on building it back up and getting you down for a weekend to do instructor training. Maybe we'll get Drew in on it too.
It'll be fun.
I was gonna say, man, I got some vacation time coming up. Maybe we'll just go to Canada, man.
We can't. We're not allowed.
What do you mean we're not allowed?
We are not. Hammer, Tom.
Americans are not allowed in our country just yet.
Oh,
You thought I was lying to you.
Yeah.
that actually hurts a little bit. Okay.
But I was
You come to my country anytime, Hammer.
I was looking at an article though, and I think that's going to change pretty soon. I'm hoping it's going to change soon.
They won't let me up either way because I ain't getting that jabs up. Whatever.
But I'll come see you guys.
I'm on the do not fly list already. You know my other podcast. Come on. But I fly you in, Bobo. No, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. And hey, I appreciate it. And if you want to give a shout out to where Ethan and them, if you can see them competing. I also know you do your own little like podcast with the fighters and stuff like that. If you want to shout that out, that's great. Go ahead. Stage is yours, kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll try to get as much up on our YouTube channel. It's just Ottawa Academy Martial Arts. And I try to post up everyone's fights in the coming future for Ethan and Aiden. And then also, like I said, when I got Justin Primrose and sending a squad down to do jiu-jitsu. And then I got a couple young guys getting ready for MMA fights as well. But yeah, I'll post it up all on our YouTube page, which has been doing fantastic. There's this video of Joe's fight that took place about a year ago. It's almost like at 200,000 views.
Oh,
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
crazy match. Yeah,
Nice.
It's just fun. Honestly, I'm having a blast. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's your niche, sir. It really is. So, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on and sharing the knowledge. You are a jewel in the jiu-jitsu community, my friend.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Garrett. See you guys soon.
Absolutely, man. Nice
Later,
fun to
brother.
talk to you.
Ciao.
Take it easy, man.
Jiu-jitsu, when I hit you, then I split you.